Hi everyone, this is Rosa Kelly. So today we're going to start a new tutorial. This is going to be a very easy to do beginners level mini album tutorial. This one is going to be an 8x8. So as you can see, I have already pre-cut my chipboard at 8x8 as well as my spine. My spine measures 8 by 3.5. This album is going to have 6 signatures. They're going to be simple, quick, interactive, and so yeah, so let's do it. Hopefully you can follow along and work with me on this. So I'm going to start with regular cardstock, 65-pound weight. Now I get a lot of questions on what type of cardstock and when do I use it. So I recently did a video explaining all the basic mini album supplies, so hopefully you saw that video. If not, I'm going to link it on the description box below. Now I'm looking for my double-sided tape, which is right here. So I'm going to join this cardstock together. So I'm going to use 3 pieces of the 65-pound weight cardstock, and I'm going to join them together like so. I'm just using my double-sided score tape. Let me grab this over here. This really helps me get that out. So now I'm going to start by just peeling my tape and putting 3 sheets together, just like so, for the base. If you are using 12 by 12, then you probably just need 2. Okay, so let me grab one more here. So I am doing this album for a order. As you guys know, I have my website and I do sell these blank mini albums. So this is going to be just a blank mini album. I won't be embellishing. So the tutorial, it's only going to be for the base, and hopefully you get some ideas on some different layouts. Okay, so now now that I have all 3 pieces together, I'm going to put my chipboard down. So I'm going to use this, it's a little bit wider, thicker, double-sided tape. Okay, so I'm lining the tape down, and all I'm gonna do now is get this little piece out. I'm just gonna peel this off and place this right on the center page here. Okay, so we're just gonna put this right down there, just like that. And now I'm going to grab the 2 side pieces and also put my double-sided tape. Okay, so just like this, and now I'm just gonna press this down and make sure there's no air bubbles on my tape or anything like that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and peel off all of this tape. Just get this out, and here we go, just like that. Lots of tape here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna place this down, and we are going to make sure there is a little gap in between these 2 pieces. You want to leave right around like an 1/8 of an inch, just like so. And then also you want to make sure this is lined up. If you don't know exactly if it's lined up, always use like a ruler, just like this, to guide yourself. Okay, my fingers are in the way, so there we go. So now I'm just gonna place this down like so, and then I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Okay, so I'm just gonna place it the same way we did that other one, just like so. Perfect. Okay, so now I do want just about an inch on each side. So this one I'm going to trim just a little bit so I don't have too much paper on the sides. And I'm gonna do the same here. And this doesn't need to be straight or anything because you won't see it, so don't worry about, using your paper cutter or anything like that. I'm going to just fold the cardstock. Now you want to start folding this slowly and make sure that your cardstock is bending and not cracking. This is why I like using 65-pound for this step. If we were using the heavyweight cardstock, this will start cracking right around the joints of the paper. So yeah, okay. So I'm going to do the same for all sides right now. Okay, so once I had all sides folded, I'm going to go ahead and just take out the corners. Always make sure that you leave a little bit of room between your cardstock and your chipboard. So over here I probably have around 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna do the same for all the corners. So I'm just gonna go like this and like this, and have one more here like that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is just add my tape on these long sides. So now I'm peeling off the tape and just pressing this down. And since we already folded this ahead of time, we know this is gonna be just where we want it. So now I'm gonna do the same back here. Put my tape just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to just remove the tape and press this down, just like so. And now before we do the sides, like I always say, we're gonna tuck in the corners just like this. You can use your nails, you can use your bone folder to do this step. So once we tuck those two little points down, I'm going to add my tape as well. Now you can also do this with your glue. If you have a smaller tape, usually I put one strip of tape and then I put glue on the other area that doesn't have the tape. Okay, so now I'm just gonna push this down like so and do the same here. So we got the base down. So now I'm going to just mark here on this little gap to give it a fold. There we go. So now we have the binding ready. And what we're gonna do next is the hinges. For the hinges, I'm using 2 sheets of the 65-pound cardstock, and I'm going to cut these at 7 1/4. Okay, so I have the 2, and now I'm just going to use my scoreboard. Let me grab it here, and I'm going to use 1 first. Okay, so I'm going to score this piece. Let me put it right here. I'm going to start at 2 inches, and then I'm going to do 1/2 inch for each gusset and 3/4 inch for each hinge. So we're gonna start with 1/2 inch at 2 1/2, and then we're gonna do 3/4 3/4, which is gonna be 3 1/4 and 4. And then 1/2 inch again, 4 1/2, and then 3/4 3/4, which will be 5 1/4 and 6. Okay, and so we're gonna continue the same pattern until we get our 6 pages. So I'm gonna continue at 6 1/2, 7 3/4, 8, 8 1/2, 9 3/4, 10, and 10 1/2. Okay, and we have this little piece remaining, and then we're gonna start the next page over here, and we're gonna do 3/4. We're gonna start at 3/4 and 3/4 again. So 3/4, 1 1/2, and then 2 and then 2 3/4 and 3 1/2. Okay, and then I'm going to just mark at 6 inches, which is where I'm going to trim this page like that. Okay, so once you get the pattern down, it's really easy to remember. So you're gonna do 1/2 inch for each gusset, and then 3/4 3/4, and then 1/2 inch. It's probably hard to see. So that you're gonna do 3/4 3/4, 1/2 inch, 3/4 3/4, and so on until you form your 6 pages. So this last one here, it's actually going to be just a little piece for us to join these two together. Okay, so I'm going to start by folding the 3/4 and 3/4 together. Then we're gonna skip the 1/2 inch and join the two together. Same thing here, skip 1 and join 2, skip 1, join 2, and then we have the little extra, and we're gonna do these 2, skip 1, and then we have 2, like so. So now to connect these 2 pieces, let me move these so you can see it better. This one piece that's kind of sticking up, we're going to use, whoops, sorry. We're going to use these 2, this little heel, the first one here, and we're gonna place this right on the center of that. So it's going to look like this, okay? So that's how we connect them. And I'm going to use just my glue. So I'm using my glue to keep them together. So I'm going to add glue on this last flap from the first part, and I'm going to put it right on the inside of this one, just like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go on the back and do glue again here. See, and now we connected it and we form the hinge. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm going to add glue on each one of these hinges to close them. You can also use double-sided tape, but I think the glue is just faster, so I'm just gonna use this glue. Put them together. So the thing with glue is you have to hold them for a little bit to make sure that they're nice and, you know, close. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the next one. I'm gonna do 2. Okay, so we'll put them together here, and I'm gonna put the next one together too. I'm just trying to do 2 at a time, but you can take it slow and just do 1 at a time, like this. And if you use tape, then that is much faster because, you know, you need to wait for it to dry. And then I'm just gonna do this last one, just like so. So now you see that we have our 6 hinges in place. So this is how it should look like. Well, this needs to dry a little more. This is how it should look like. Okay, so before I place this into my album, I'm going to add my tape. So I'm using the 3/8 of an inch. You can also use a 1/2 inch tape if you have. And I'm just placing the tape on the outside edge of each one of the flaps, and I'm going to do both sides. All right, so now I'm gonna grab the hinge and I'm going to add just double-sided tape on the back. Okay, I'm gonna put some tape throughout the whole back here. Okay, so after we add the tape, you always want to make sure you don't get any air bubbles in there. So go ahead and press that really good. Just like so. And also make sure you don't have any tape hanging off the side like I do here. Because even though it's just a little piece of tape, those little pieces will like catch all the dirt and then it doesn't look pretty. So let's make sure that you get all this extra tape out of the way, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to place these on the spine. Now remember, on the front side, on the first one, we did a 1 line score right here. So we're gonna use this line, this very first score line that we did, as a guide to place this down. So we're gonna align this line to this line here. So we're gonna place this just like so. Now if you are worried about this being crooked or something like that, you can always start with glue, and it's a lot easier to adjust and move and, you know, make sure it's straight. Let me get my tool here. Another thing that you could do is just start by peeling one of your tape pieces. Okay, let's just get one out right now. And now we're gonna make sure this is lined up to that line I show you, and also you want to be center up and down here. And once you have it where you want it, now you can press it on this tape. Okay, and now all we're gonna do is just take off the remainder of the tape on the back. Okay, and start placing this down. So there you go. So you do something like that, and you start going one piece at a time. So I'm just gonna continue taking this out. 2, 3, and the last one. 4. Okay, so now this should all just go into place. Make sure you don't get any air bubbles. Press it really good, and here we go. And now on the last part, I did not make this line, and I always do that on purpose, just because I want to make sure this is gonna line up exactly to this line for, you know, the bending of the spine. So I'm just gonna use my ruler and go where these indents are and just gently score in here. Don't press too hard. You don't want to make a hole on this piece, which I've done before many times. So okay, I'm gonna just fold this right now like so. And over here we already have that score line, so all we're gonna do is just fold. And there we go. Now we have the base with the hinges added, and now we can go ahead and work on the pages. So now we're gonna work on the pages. So these sheets that I'm using measure 11 by 8.5, and these are the heavyweight 110-pound cardstock. Now we're gonna construct six basic pages. So I'm going to trim this at 7.5. So this will be 7.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to need 6 pieces of that. So I have 6 of that, and now I'm going to need 6 more of 7.5 by 7.5. So this is gonna be the smaller size. So this will be like a square. Again, we're gonna need 6, and we're also gonna need 6 pieces of 7.5 by 7.5. Okay, so now I have the 2 sizes, 7.5 7.5 by 7.5 and 7.5 by 8.5. We're gonna work with these big ones here, and I'm just going to place one down along the 8.5-inch sides, and we are going to score at 1/2 inch, okay, and at 8 inches. So we're gonna do 2 flaps here, and I think I have 2, so I'm gonna do this here as well. You can also do 1/2 inch, and then you can turn it around and do 1/2 inch as well. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same to all of these pages. So once we have all of these scored with the lines, we're going to just fold along these score lines, and we're gonna add our double-sided tape. Okay, so again, I'm using the 3/8 of an inch tape. You can also use the 1/2 inch tape as well. So I'm going to fold the other flap and add the tape like this. So now you're gonna have a piece like so. And then we're gonna grab the 7.5 by 7.5 piece, and we're gonna place it right on top, and we're gonna make sure this is straight and aligned and it matches on every corner. And then I'm going to peel off the tape here on the side and stick that corner down, and then peel the remaining of the tape. And then for the other side, I'm just gonna peel off the tape here. Now you always want to make sure you're holding the center down so this doesn't bubble up before you take your tape off. So now we have the basic page, so we're gonna do the same for all 6 of them. So now we have our 6 base pages ready, and we're gonna start working on one at a time. Now for that, I'm also going to be using my heavyweight cardstock. And also going to show you a way how you can create your own designs, your own flaps and folds and things like that. It's really easy and simple, and that's actually one of my favorite things to do about creating mini albums, is just playing around with different ways to interact a page. So I'm going to start by cutting a couple pages at 7.5 by 7.5. So I'm going to do probably 3 of those. So let me cut 2 at a time here. Now this is going to create some large pages for our albums to maximize space to add pictures. So I'm going to do this one more time here. Okay, so I'm going to start with those 3. And I'm going to score 1/2 inch on one of the sides. Now I choose 7.5 by 7.5 because number one, this is the length of my page, and then I'm going to score, like I said, at 1/2 inch, and this is going to be how we are going to be attaching these to the album. So it's really simple to remember how we create flaps and flops, flips and flaps for your album. Is just by creating this simple 1/2 inch little hinge to add to your pages. So now to that, I'm going to add my tape. Okay, and let me just cut this like so, and then I'm gonna grab one of my pages, and we're gonna place this on one of the sides. Now see, I cut these exactly the same size as the page, and once we do the 1/2 inch, now one of the sides becomes a little bit smaller than the page itself, which I like because then you know there's a flap in there. You can place it on the side, you can place it on the top and create an opening to the top, or any direction that you want. You can even do one on the top, one on the bottom. So the possibilities are endless when it comes to adding your own twist to your pages. So it's really easy, and like I said, this one is a full-size page here. So let's see, we're gonna add one here on the left. So I'm going to peel off just a little bit of the tape to the side, and then once I align these on the bottom, make sure it's straight, then I can just press down on the sticky side and take this out. Okay, so now my insert, it's on the sides here. So this page opens to the left. Now we can do the same one more time with another one of these 7.5 by 7.5. I'm going to score again at 1/2 inch, fold that along, and now I'm going to add my tape, and we're gonna do just about the same. Now this time I'm going to place it, I'm gonna open this up and place it on the other side. Same thing, I'm going to peel off just a little bit of the tape. I'm gonna place it like so. I'm gonna turn this around just so it's easier for me to see. We align one of the corners, and then we press down on the sticky side, and we just take off the remaining of the tape. So now, because this is cut a little bit smaller, when you close this page is not going to interfere with this page. See how we have this little space here? We have the little space on this side as well. So that's one simple way to add large flaps to your page. Other one that I did, since I cut 3, again I scored at 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna flip this page to the back, and I'm gonna add this on the top, and then this page will have the same type of opening, but this time will open up. So same cut, same score line, and then we have 2 different page options. So now I'm just going to peel off the tape here a little bit and just place it on the top, just like so. Hold down the sticky side, and we take off the tape, just like so. Now we have a flap to the top. So we are done with the first signature. So we have 1 and 2 pages. Now for the next one, I'm going to use another one. I'm gonna start with a full-size sheet here. Now these measure 8.5 by 11, and I say that because I think not all the measurements are the same in all countries. I think A4 is a little bit different, so this is why I mentioned the size of it. So now I'm going to cut this along the long side here at 7.5 again. Okay, and this time I'm just going to turn this and cut this on half. So half for me is 5.5. Okay, so I have 2 equal pieces, and again I'm going to do 1/2 inch on each one of the sides here. 1 and 2, and so now I'm gonna fold along the score line, because this is where we're gonna attach to our pages, and I'm just gonna press this down really good. Add my score tape right here like so on both, just like this. And now we are creating a little gatefold page. So I'm gonna grab my base, I'm gonna grab a new one here, and we're gonna place 1 on the left and 1 on the right, just like we did with the full-size page, but this time we have a type of gatefold here that overlaps one on top of the other. So I'm just gonna do the same thing here with the tape. So we have our page opening like so, and now for the back we're going to create a little pocket. So now, since we've been cutting pages, we probably have some scrap pieces, so I'm gonna be using some of the scraps here that I have, and we're gonna keep these pages at 8.5. So this measures 8.5 by 3. Okay, so I'm just gonna score here at 1/2 inch on both sides, so at 1/2 and 8, and then I'm gonna score 1/2 inch along the bottom, and then I'm just going to trim the corners like so and like so. Okay, so I'm creating a pocket here, and I'm just gonna press this down all 3 sides, just like this, and then we are going to add this into our page. Now we can do glue or we can do tape. When I do pockets, I prefer to do glue, so I have a little bit more time to adjust. Okay, so now I'm just gonna press it down, and here we go. So now we have a pocket on the side of the page and a gatefold on the back. For the next page, I'm gonna start with a new sheet, again heavyweight cardstock, and I'm going to cut this at 6 inches. So this is going to measure 6 by 8. So I'm gonna flip this and cut this at 8. Okay, and I'm going to also use the leftover piece. So we're gonna save that, and I'm going to score this first one here at 1/2 inch again, so we can attach it into our page just like that, along the 6 inch side, actually along the 8 inch side, like this. And then we are going to fold this piece and add our tape, and then we're gonna add this into the center of our next page. So again, I'm gonna peel just a bit of this tape, and I'm going to make sure this is center right here, and also a line on the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to press down on that sticky side and take off the tape, and now we have a flap opening on the top, a little bit smaller than the page. I'm gonna turn this around, and I'm going to use this leftover piece, and this piece measures 8.5 by 5. I'm going to score a 1/2 inch and at 8 inches. So I added tape along each one of these flaps, and I'm just gonna fold these, and what I'm creating here is a little belly band. So again, the trick is to do your 1/2 inch little flap. Now this belly band, you can place it like this. Since our page is square, it's a lot easier to play around with the layouts. You can do your belly band to be up and down or to be side to side. So I think I'm going to do mine to be like this, sideways, so we can slide the photo mats up and down. So I'm just gonna take off the tape on one side, and then I'm just going to peel off this tape on the other side and make sure there's no air bubble in between. And here we go. So now we have another 2 easy layouts for another page. So another fun layout that I like to do is just simply splitting this page into 4 pieces. So I'm going to cut this at 1/2, which is 5.5, and then I'm going to cut this at 1/2, which is 4.25. So I have 2 pieces, and then I'm going to do this again here. So I have 4 pieces. So on these 4 pieces, I'm going to score along the 5.5 inch side, just at 1/2 inch, like this. So I'm gonna do the same here, number 3. Oops, kind of went somewhere else. And one more here, number 4. All right, So now these little pieces, again, I'm going to fold along the score line and add my tape. So then I'm gonna grab another page here, another base page, and I'm going to use my little flaps. I'm going to put 2 on the sides and 2 on the top and bottom. So I'm just gonna center this as much as I can. Okay, there's one, and here is another one. Peel off this tape just a little bit. Make sure this is aligned to the one we just did, just like so. Take that out, and then we do the same for the top and bottom. So we open this up and we do one here along the top. Again, we're just gonna center this as best as we can, just like that. And then I'm going to do one on the bottom here. So I'm gonna close this one so I know where it is. Just like right there. And I love this layout because once we have all these closed, you can use these to add multiple photo mats in here as well. Like this will hold everything in. You just add a closure to that. So now let's work on the back. I have this piece of 8.5 by 4.5, and I'm just going to score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides, also to create a pocket. Now this pocket is a little bit deeper than the one we did before, and I want this pocket to be oriented on the bottom. Let me show you. Here's the page we just worked on, like this. So this is wider than the one on the side. Let me show you here. The one we did on the side, I don't like to make this too wide because then it's hard to put the inserts on the side, the photo mats. And these ones, on the other hand, the larger, it's a little bit better because then you can hold more photo mats. Just a little just a little tip of what I prefer. So now I'm just gonna fold along these score lines here and add a tape. Actually, I'm going to do this with glue as well. Okay, so here we have our pocket. Perfect. So now we have a pocket and this little layout on the back. And for this next page, I'm going to grab a new sheet of heavyweight, and I'm going to cut these at 7.5 as well. And I'm going to cut these at 4 1/4. Okay, so we have 2 pieces like so, and I'm going to score again 1/2 inch on one of the sides for these 2 pieces. And what I'm creating is another gatefold, and this gatefold is actually going to be not overlapping like the one before, but it's going to be side to side like this. So I added my score tape on both of the 1/2 inch little flaps, and now I'm gonna grab the new sheet and we are going to place one on one of the sides and the other one here. And as you can see, this should perfectly fit, so they're not overlapping, they're side to side. So I'm adding one on the left of the tape, and then I'm gonna add the other one on the right, like so, just like this. So it's very similar to the first gatefold page that we did, but you see that the end result is different. So yeah, so now let's work on the other side. So for this next layout, I'm gonna use this little piece of scrap that we just had left from what we just did. And then I'm gonna cut a new page here, and I'm going to cut these at 7.5. Actually, I'm just gonna do 7 by 7.5. Okay, so what I'm doing here, it's a combination of 2 pages. that we've done before. So with this large page, I'm just going to score along one of the sides, and with this smaller one, I'm going to do a pocket. So I'm going to do a side pocket. I'm going to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides like this, and then I'm just going to cut the little corners as we've done before, and I'm just gonna fold along these flaps just like so, and I'm going to add I'm going to use glue for that one, and I'm going to use tape for this one. I'm going to start with the page. I'm just going to place it along the left side here, and then I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to place the pocket on the other side. So when we open this page, we have a pocket inside here. So let me add the glue right there on these flaps. Okay, and now I'm just going to place this over here. Okay, so make sure that your pocket is straight and even on all the corners. And here we go. So we got one more page. So for this page, I'm gonna use 2 of my scrap pieces. These measure about 5 by 8.5. So I'm going to trim these 2 at 7 inches. Actually, I'm gonna do 7.5. Okay. So these are going to be 7.5 by 5, and I'm going to score both of these again at 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm just giving you different ideas, different layouts. If you are a beginner, you can just probably do the first 2 or 3 and just repeat those and, you know, practice, or you could create your own layouts. I think what I try to do is give you the tools so you can make your own mini album, make your own designs. I think it's really fun to play around with the different flaps and things like that. Okay, so I'm folding along the score lines here, and for this one I'm going to place one on the left and on the top, so left up, and this one I'm going to place on the right and down like so. So here we have this page just like so, and now we're working on the back. So for this page, I'm gonna start with a new sheet and cut these at 7.5, just like that, and then I'm gonna turn this around, cut this at 6. So we have 2 pieces. One is 6 by 7.5, and one is 5 by 7.5. Now these 2 pieces, I'm going to score 1/2 inch on the short side, so along the 5 inches, and 1/2 inch along the 6 inches. And I'm going to add my tape. Well, first I'm going to fold this like that and add the tape. So then I'm going to bring my page back, and I'm going to place the larger one on the top, just like this. Let me make sure that I have it straight. Okay, just like that. And then I'm gonna open that up and do the other one on the bottom. So another simple layout, a little bit different, but as you can see, the main idea is the same with, you know, adding your flaps, and then so here this will close up like so, and it kind of, to me, looks like a little envelope type opening. But yeah, so now we have all of our pages, and we are ready to put our album together. So now I'm gonna work with my album again. So I have two sheets here of 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and these are also heavyweight. And I am going to place these two on my front and back covers, and I just like the complete finish of this. So I'm just gonna use my glue and add these ones down. Okay. Okay, and then we can also add some layouts on these two pages. So I'm just simply going to do two opening flaps, and so I'm gonna start with two new sheets, and I'm going to cut these ones at 7 3/4. Okay, by 7 1/2. Okay, and so I'm just going to fold 1/2 inch. I'm going to score 1/2 inch along the 7 1/2 inch side. Okay, so I'm going to score at 1/2 inch along the 7 1/2, just like that. And again, we're going to add our tape, and then we're going to add one on the left here for the left back cover, and one on the right. And of course you can create your own layout here if you want to make it a little bit more intricate and more interesting. What I like about doing these big pages is that you get a lot of room to add larger pictures, which are always nice. Okay, so now we are ready to add our pages. So I have them here. It doesn't matter the order where you put them on. You can pick and choose what you want to show first. And then again, like I said, you can just work on 3 pages and repeat your layouts. That's always easier and better when you are just learning. So another thing you want to make sure is, I always like to just go through my pages one more time before I add them, just to make sure that my pockets are like right side up. For example, this is right side down, so that tells me I should be looking at it like this. So yeah, always make sure that you have the right orientation for everything. To add the page, first thing I do is peel off just a bit of the tape and put it to the side like that. And then I grab my page, I find the center opening, the insert, and I just add it in, place the page down. You make sure your page doesn't go all the way down to your spine. You just put it right on top of that tape. That's why I use the 1/2 inch tape, because it helps me see where I'm going to stop. And then I turn this around and I just take off the tape on the back. And so now we're going to continue doing the same thing here for all these pages. So here we go, we are done adding all the pages into our album. And then you can go ahead and add closures, like you can add your magnets in there, or if you don't want to use magnets, you can use different types of closures, such as laces, seam binding, twine, ribbon, and things like that. So now we're gonna work on the inserts for the pages, which is really simple to do. So I'll just give you one as a guide. For the page inserts, we're gonna use the regular weight cardstock, which is a 65 pound, the thin one, and we are going to cut these at 7 1/4. So I'm cutting several together here. I think I have 3. Okay, so 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and this is going to fit perfectly inside your pages, here like so. See that? So then you could see it a little bit. And what I like to do is use my paper punches. So there you go. I hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. I hope that it was easy to follow. Please let me know what you think. Let me know if you try it. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you do try it. And then also, if you would like to get some reading instructions for the measurements and step-by-step details, I am putting together a magazine where I talk about my inspiration behind albums. I am going to include a couple of tutorials in there step-by-step with direction, measurements, and pictures. So it's something that I have been working on. So we'll link my store on the description box, so if you guys want to check that out. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.